Hey, I'm Adam Vez. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, raised in Stony Creek, Ontario. I play drums and I sing in the Merinuks, and I play drums in Practice Life, and I play drums and sing with Anthony DiBattista. Okay, what got me into punk music? So my dad, every Saturday, pretty much, he'd take me down King Street, downtown Hamilton. We hit up every record store. Well, they're more like tape stores. Like that's what we bought. I forget the name of all the stores. Definitely Cheapies was still there, but there was a bunch of stores that were gone. And I was younger, and I didn't really know punk then. But he was always on buy music, and we had a cool uncle, and I was feeding to my dad. So one day my dad bought me Ramones Adios Amigos, and it's like, this is punk. I was like, the Ramones, like, who the hell are these guys? I brought it home, and it's like, okay, this is totally not unlike anything I've heard, and it's like cool. And then he bought me the first Stooges record, and he bought me I don't believe it was Never Mind the Bollocks. It was Sex Pistols' Great Rock and Roll Swindle, like that kind of compilation of all that, the soundtrack. So I was like, okay, it's punk, cool. And like in my mind, like that was punk, and that was it. And growing up through the years and being a teen, like it was like the mid '90s, and I was just watching TV. It was it was much music, so it was like all the stuff that not so much punk. Punk hadn't broken through yet. And so my friends and everyone else didn't really listen to punk, but I had these kind of things in my back of my mind I knew existed. So yeah, to be honest, like I didn't really fall into the punk hole right away after that, because it was just the time. It was a much music world, I guess. But I just remember first day of grade 9, I was asked to join a punk band. That was the Binge, and that was with Jerry Waterman, who now a Monster Truck, and my old buddy Chad, who I went to elementary school with in Stony Creek. And I was like, what the hell is a punk band? Like, what do I do? And they're like, oh, it's like double time punk. Like, can you play double time punk? I'm like, no, like that's insane. Like, trying to listen to these bands, like they're like, listen to this No Effects album, whatever, and Punk and Drublick. I was like, I can't do it. I don't know what's going on. And then so we had a band tryout, and I was so nervous. And we went to Jerry's house, walked there after school, down Loring Avenue by Hunters Park, and it was like so nervous, just a 3-piece. And he's like, oh, I had this song called Lisa, and it wasn't really a fast song. It was about mid tempo, and I was taking drum lessons, so I could do okay. But I'd never played in a band ever, like with people who knew what they're doing. And I'll never forget that first time we jammed on that song. Is like, and it nailed it, and it was awesome. And then it was just a free fall from there. We also hung out at Eastgate Mall, and the punks, the people who knew punk were there, and I was really nervous because like I was like, I want to get into punk, but like I like all this other bullshit music. So like, is it gonna be too much? Will I be a poser? Like that was always the biggest fear. Am I a poser? Am I a poser? And then I just remember I had one old buddy, and he's like, no man, like punk's like for everybody. Like if you want to listen to it, listen to it. Who gives a shit? And so I did, and yeah, never turned back from there. That's what got me into punk. Right. Main influences growing up. Yeah, my dad was a CD junkie. Like, just always was buying stuff, and yeah, he had this cool half brother who got him on like Brian Eno and like Talking Heads and that kind of like proto punk kind of weirder stuff. So my dad loved music. So it was just always everywhere, cranking in the car, or whatever. But the drum thing, I have to say, the record that made me like, oh my god, I want to do what this guy's doing, was U2, listening to the War album. It was like Sunday Bloody Sunday, and Larry Mullen Jr. And I was one of those kids who I made a pot and pan drum kit in my garage. My dad worked in pest control, so he had like these like 5-liter buckets just sitting around, and my grandmother lived with us, so there's like pots everywhere. So I literally had pot and pan drum kit. I found like a long like metal rod, like a skinny one I cut in half. Those are my drumsticks. I didn't know what I was doing, and like I had quit every sport after like a year, football, baseball, everything, and so I was like, I want to play drums. Well, my parents were like, well, if you will take lessons for X amount, maybe we'll buy you a used kit. So, yeah, so my parents and my dad listened so much music was a big influence, and yeah. All right, first concert I attended. I think, pretty sure, it would have been the Killjoys at Gage Park, one of those free, like, It's Your Festival or Festival of Friends. Gene worked for my neighbor in a trucking company, and the Killjoys were on Much Music, so I was like, okay. And then when the Starry came with the first album, I got a free copy of the CD, and it was like my neighbor hand delivered it. It's like, what's this? Because I actually hadn't heard them on Much Music yet, and it was signed on the inside by Gene. Because like when you open it, there's like a kid. It's like a black and white photo with a kid drinking like a glass of juice, and the juice is colored, and he signed it. Hope you like the juice, Gene. Is like, whoa, like I don't know who these guys are, but this is amazing. And then I was hooked on the Killjoys. So when they're playing like for free at Gage Park, I had to go. And then the next day, actually, which I think that was a Friday, and the next day was a Saturday, there was this huge, I forget the name of it, but there was this huge festival in Fort Erie, I believe. It was like this Canadian rock fest, and it was like Gandharvis, 5440, Killjoys. It was like everyone but the hip in Canada that was like on the radio. And the Killjoys opened. And I was like, we gotta get there first. Like my parents stuck me. We gotta go there. So I saw Killjoys twice in a row. I'm pretty sure that was my first like show. It was like I had to see. Yeah, it's cool because I played with Mike Treblecock a couple times last year or so, and he loves horror. I love horror, and he's like my friend now, and I think. And no, it's just awesome. It's really cool. Getting to know Mike and play with him, and yeah, Killjoys were, yeah, big. I was into them. So first punk show. I mean, I think I played my first punk show before I saw my first punk show. If that's allowed. We played a show at the Vertigo Skate Park in Stony Creek. It was a short-lived skate park, one of these industrial plazas off Barton Street there, and it was us. Some metal band, I forget, but this band called the Dupes. And the Dupes were like, to us, being in the binge, like the Dupes were like the only other punk band in the scene. Like there was no internet really then. No, there wasn't. And then we're just like, the Dupes were like our gods, because like they're from like the other high school and they've been around longer. And Josh, the bass player, went to OP, so we knew Josh, and he was like the coolest guy to us. So we're like, oh my god, we're playing our first show, and I'm playing with the Dupes. And I believe I wore my Killjoy shirt and terrible yellow corduroys. I had pictures of that. But yeah, that was just like really cool first show. But yeah, I think actual first punk show, bought tickets and went. It was like the Snow Jam or Snow Job at the Opera House. Snow Jam. Like when all those, it was like a list of bands would play. So I think it was Guy Smiley, Ignite. Gutter Mouth were supposed to play. They got deported the night before because dude took his pants off and some kid brought them home. And the mom freaked out and they got arrested or something. Again, wasn't much of the internet there. So Gutter Mouth didn't play. Yeah, Guy Smiley, Wizzo I think played. But lots, yeah. So I think that was the first show. Oh, but the Jughead's Revenge played. And that was awesome because they chucked their 45 out in the crowd, like just throwing records in the crowd. I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't collect vinyl then. I was like, what is this? And it's like Jughead's Revenge, like vinyl. Like my dad has these. And then, yeah, we met the band after. I got it signed. I still have it. But yeah, that was the first like punk show, Opera House. Favorite shows I saw? There was a lot, but I feel like I missed like a lot of the like my favorites in their like formative years. But I will say I saw bands like Sick of It All like every time they came, and that was just always, they were always awesome. Like Bouncing Souls, we'd always go see, and then like I'd say the first punk band that I really got obsessed with, and still am, was the Misfits, and I didn't even know the Michael Gray thing happened. Like I hunted down all the Danzig stuff, and I was like, oh, this band's awesome. And then I'll never forget. I was in bed late one night after going out with friends or whatever, and had much music. I think Loud was on, and I see this American Psycho Misfits. Like, what is this? Like, that Jerry Only Doyle? What the fuck? And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, wow, the Misfits are still a band. And then I saw that they were touring, and you know what? I didn't care what the whole. I guess I wasn't enough of a purist to be like, fuck this, I'm not gonna go see these guys. So when I found out they're coming to the Opera House, I was like, oh my god, I gotta go to that. And then I heard all these stories because they had played Opera House maybe about a year before that, and there's all these stories about oh, there's skinheads there and there's blood everywhere, and it was like a nightmare scene, and it's okay, but it's I'm gonna go, and I was I hadn't been to many punk shows then, but I had been to some at the Opera House. I was like, screw it, I'll check this out. And then Trigger Happy played that show, and I still to this day never seen so much. One guy gets spat on so much. He was wearing a black shirt. I forget the singer's name, but just covered in my and I. And I was just I didn't drive, and I didn't have many friends who were in the same shit as me, so I dragged my poor dad to go to the show with me, so he's probably I was like, Dad, you check out the show, you like music, but I'm gonna go in the front, check it out. And I just remember that scene of the spit, and I was like, oh my god, my dad probably thinks I'm insane. And yeah, but before the Missus went on, I just remember being in front of the stage and turning, and I saw Jerry's face come out the one door at the window, looking right at me, like this menacing look. I was like, oh my god. And I think I even tapped the guy beside me. It's like, oh my god, it's Jerry. But I was so into them. I just loved seeing them. I saw them a bunch, Buffalo, London, wherever. I just wanted to hear those songs, Graves or Not. I know it gets a bad rap, but I was really into that. The other favorite shows, oh man, there's so many. I was thinking recently, seeing John Carpenter was awesome. I love John Carpenter movies and horror movies, and seeing that was a treat. Never thought I'd get to see that. More recent, the Viagra Boys at the Hard Luck were awesome. There was a guy in a wheelchair, and they were hoisting him up. Body surfing, and they were just, I don't know, really unique. That was a really cool show. I don't know, there's just so many eras and so many times. I mean, yeah, there was a Warped Tour, the first Warped Tour I went to, '98. I just remember that's where I met my old buddy Anthony, who I still talk to this day. I'll never forget. We went to see, it was Wizzo again. No, it was Friends All Wrong. They had that big song, I think it was called Run, and I was watching, they were one of the first bands that night, and then, or the day, and I remember this guy Anthony, and I would see him walking around Stony Creek all the time, this long hair and his Bouncing Souls jacket. It's who is this guy? And I remember he came right up, and play Run! And the band made fun of him, because they already had played that song, and I still remember that, and now I'm really close friends with Anthony. But yeah, that was Bad Religion played, and man, so many bands. I don't know, that just opened my eyes. It was when punk was really blowing up, in my life. I saw, yeah, there's some bands I was really fortunate to see. I saw Leatherface at Wrong Bar in Toronto. That was amazing. I remember Jay Retard at the Sneaky D's. That was just so intense. It was the show after he punched out the kid and didn't really play the set. So he kind of came back, and about a year or two after that, and he kicked ass. The Raining Sound at the Horseshoe, after Love and Curses came out, just blew my mind. Yeah, so many shows. Okay, add to the favorite shows. It's gotta be Misfits with Danzig in Chicago at the Riot Fest. I'd never been in an experience like that. It was just a whirlpool of flesh and bodies and sweat. It was really cool to see worth the wait. That was awesome. Goner Fest in Memphis were amazing. Saw the Cosmic Psychos were from Australia, amazing. Didn't see Dead Moon, but saw Fred and Tootie solo. That was really cool. The Clean in New York, New Zealand band. That was really cool. Saw one in Detroit as well. Those are great shows. The Spits were such an awesome band to see live. The favorite shows were the Silver Dollar, where the drummer would put a dash of, like a ring of lighter fluid around a cymbal, and then they'd start, and they always had like the cheesiest but coolest dollar store budget kind of backgrounds, and like a shitty skeleton cut out of wood with lasers coming out of his eyes, and those shows were just so intense. I love seeing that band. One time we get to play at South by Southwest in 2005. I forget the band name, but they were from Japan, and there was like this metal rafter, like kind of like to house a tent, but there wasn't any tent. It was just like the steel beams, and the singer from this band was doing like, I don't even know what you call it. Like when you grab onto the bar and you loop over and over like a circus act, and it's like, who the hell are these guys? And I don't remember the name, but I remember I looked to my left and Jello was there beside me watching them, and he was just with his buddies, and he was just equally in awe. And I was like, what is going on here? That was also same South by Southwest, where the band I was playing with somehow beat that Tegan and Sarah band in a battle of bands or something. We got to play and for the prize, we got to go to Willie Nelson's studio in Arlen, Texas to shoot like a live performance. Yeah, really weird times. But yeah, lots of shows. Yeah. Alright, run down past current bands. Okay, so there was like The Binge in 97. Orchard Park's first punk band, maybe. And then we were a band for a few years. We did a lot. I felt like it feels like we were around for like 5 years, but I think it was only like 3. But yeah, we did pretty good. We won like Battle of the Bands all the time somehow, which was sweet because we got free recording out of it. So we got to do like our first album and another EP and another EP after that. That was really fun. We were crazy kids. And then after that, I was in a band called Ellington. It was all Cardinal Newman guys and me. And it was really fun. They had removed a drummer who was their friend at the time, put me in. It was really, I don't know, it was interesting. Great guy. He would come to every show and help out. That band was fun. We were kind of like a emo, screamo band when that stuff was going on. So we would play in Brampton a lot. We were almost part of the Brampton hardcore scene, like bands like The End and Wheels on the Bus, like these really kind of, like really different. Like The End was just so intense. Like I'll never forget seeing them once at anyway, I'm trailing. But Ellington were cool. I think we scared the shit out of Brody because we had a reputation of breaking equipment at shows, which wasn't really true. I mean, there was one instance where I think a singer jumped into the drums where I was because he thought that'd be cool and maybe busted a mic. So we had a bit of a reputation. We had a failed recording experience where we were like, it was like one guy's dad. He's like, oh, I know this guy, and he does an amazing job recording. You should go record with him. So we did, and it was a good experience. And like it was like a 4-song EP. We put so much time into it, and then I'll never forget. And it's like 2 months in, and the guy turns around and goes, okay, so you owe me something like $5,000. Like, where is it? Or like, we don't have that. So we never got the recording. Long story short. Then after Ellington, it was a lot of kind of moving around, like one-offs. But the old band got back to the Binge got back together, but under a new name with Klesk. And it was with Mike McInnes from Bayside, who was in a band with Jerry and Chad after the Binge, because we had went our separate ways for a bit. And that was awesome because with the Binge, we'd walk home every day after high school to Jerry's house to jam. But by the time we were in class, we were all in college, so we all went to Mohawk. So we would all and then Jared was living on West 5th, so we would just go to school and then go to West 5th and practice at his house, and that was amazing. We played in Oshawa a lot of the dungeon, and we were like the promoter J Cloth. I remember being on his radar. We always played the Trashoteria in Guelph. Yeah, that was a really fun band. And then Jared left for greener pastures. I think that's when he joined The Reason, and then I kind of just floated around playing different bands. And there's one time around there, I met Glenn, Hamilton kid from from the Strummer shows, because I like going to the Strummer shows, and I remember Brody would put those on because they used to be at the Underground, or at one point they were, and I remember one time, like I asked to play, he's like, how do I play this? To Brody, he's like, I don't know, like you gotta figure it, you gotta talk to Glenn. It's like, but Glenn was the house band, so there was just like I didn't talk to enough people, I didn't know enough people, I guess, and then I remember. Brody came up to me out of nowhere when I attended one of them. He's like, "Oh, you want to play a song with Mickey? Like Mickey the Saddest?" I was like, "Yeah." Like he's gonna do Clamp Down. I was like, oh, "Okay, yeah." I'm not gonna say no, but I was like, "How does the song start?" So I was like freaking out, and then I'm looking at the set list, and they're like, "No, actually, you're gonna do London's Burning." It's like, okay. See, anyway, I just remember that being a cool memory. But from there, I met Glenn, and he had that band, the Wooden Robots. It was like a kind of rotating circle of different musicians. So I got to do that a couple times. That was really cool. And yeah, there's a pop punk band called Holiday I was in for a little bit. And then that's when I met Kyle Bishop. So Kyle came from like the Swarm, Acrid, and Grade, and he had a band called the Black Maria. So because of his, I don't know, maybe because of his Grade influence he had, Black Maria were signed on Victory, and they got to tour and all that kind of cool stuff as bands on that label do. And I got to fill in on a tour with them one time. So they did, I was like trying to finish college. And I was living at my uncle's because I was commuting for this like terrible co-op that I had, and wasn't really playing in any bands. And like the drummer who was my friend, because Black Maria had two Stony Creek dudes in them, so I knew them quite well. And Derek broke his arm, and they didn't want to cancel because they had 2 weeks with Rise Against and Alexis on Fire, like right when Watch Out came out for Alexis, and right when like that Swing Life Away, like huge Rise Against song came out. So like they didn't want to cancel, and Derek's an amazing drummer, so I'm really intimidated to do that. But that was an awesome decision that I took. So I wasn't really in Black Maria, but did that tour in another 2 weeks with Zayo and Juliana Theory. But I got to know Kyle really well, and so we started a band called Eat Me Suck City with Andy Inglis, who's a big DJ in the city, and Kevin. And that was really just kind of I don't know, heavy, brooding, like really moody type band. Played some cool shows with them. And then I moved to Toronto, and yeah, things just didn't really work out with that band anymore. And then I wanted a Toronto band. I didn't know anyone in Toronto, so I put a Kijiji thing out there, and I met this guy James, and we started a band called Practice Wife with this guy James and Steve, and we're just three dudes from different walks of life. Steve was from Vancouver, or he was living out there for a while, and I was, from Hamilton. So yeah, we were just, so still in Practice Wife. We're in like year 10. We're kind of on and off with like playing shows, but we play in the States a bunch, and just for doing things for fun. We did a record at Electrical Audio in Chicago, and one with Sean Pearson last year at Boxcar in Hamilton. Sean and I are old friends because we both worked at Chorus Entertainment Nelvana for a while. And then I moved back to the Hamilton area, and I wanted to have a band here, just because I was always here. And yeah, a lot of people like reached out like, "Yo, Vez, like you're back. Let's start a band." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I don't know, people just, people were actually more busy than they realized. So it was hard to find a band to play with. So I went on Kijiji again, and I met Larry Reese, who I didn't know Larry, and then hung out with him, and a lot of our influences gelled together, and we hit it off. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring this bass player over, my buddy Don." Like, okay. And then Don comes in one practice. It's like, I fucking know this guy. This guy, Don also worked at Chorus. He was like, he worked in like the studio, but during like all the big events we had in our atrium, Don was like the guy hanging the lights. Like he was like the rigger for all these special events. And I'd always see him around. Like, who is this cool rocker guy? Like he looks like no one else here. And like I got to know this guy. And so I know him pretty well now. So. Yeah, so that's how the Merinuks kind of got together, and then kind of underneath all of that, when I had the time, I met my buddy Warren Deans, a Stony Creek guy as well, and he's got his own studio in his basement, and yeah, we're just always recording when we can. He's the type of guy that can just do anything and loves to record, so we've had a bunch of different monikers, Damaged Nerves to Tape Arrays to a bunch of different bands. It's all for fun. We're not there to play shows. It's just to do music, art, videos, things like that. And our friend Anthony DiBattista is a big part of that. And yeah, we just put out his first solo EP last year, and we're working on another one. So yeah, just playing as much as possible for fun, and yeah, that's the name of the game. Having fun. Alright, craziest thing that ever happened at a show. I mean, I guess some violent things would happen. I do remember the Pine Room with Moneen and maybe like Silverstein and a bunch of those bands. Moneen thought it'd be cool to light off fireworks, like a Roman candle. And it was fine, but the whole place filled up with smoke, and yeah. I think they had the fire department came, and I think the show was shut down, so that was kind of a bummer. But the one that sticks out to me, and it is more of a violent story, but it's a funnier, not funny, but it's a very Stony Creek story. So we're going back to the roots here. So I remember we got asked to play at Boilers, like a infamous bar in Stony Creek, because they had like the best chicken wings right on Grays Road and Highway 8. So, yeah. And two bands played. It was us and Zion. So Zion ended up being a bunch of guys going on to Black Maria, but so we had to play cover songs and blah blah blah, and it was gonna be a packed night. And it's like, we're playing Boilers, like what? Because I don't remember them ever having shows. So the owner of the bar knew my mom, so he knew me. So, and I was still 18, so he's like, you can't drink, I better not see you drinking. So I was like, okay, I won't drink, cool. So I was on my best behavior, but I tell you, everyone else in the bands, the people, the patrons, everyone was just wasted. And I was being well behaved, and we played. I packed my stuff up, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go help, pack some things up, take them outside. And Boilers is a huge walk down, like a huge steep walk down. Right by Fiesta Mall there. So I'll just never forget. I walked up the stairs with some gear, and the parking lot's packed with cars, and the cars are just destroyed. Like side view mirrors smashed in, windshield wipers broken, windshields broke. Like I was like, what's going on out here? And I guess there was a big brawl. Like it was almost on its way out as I was going up there, but it was just odd because there was no commotion in the bar saying like fight. I just walked out, and next thing I know, there's just this blood brawl and like broken cars, and it's like what happened here? It was just surreal. And still to this day, and it's like, how did that happen? Who was it? Like we didn't even know who the people were fighting. No one in the bands got hurt or anything, but yeah, that was a weird one. Alright, what do I like the most about being a musician? What I dislike the most? I guess what I like the most is like just finding like-minded people and jamming and playing, and like the songwriting process and playing. yeah, it's just really cool when three guys, three people can really kind of just jive on one thing, and play shows with friends and do things with friends, and record with friends. Like right now at the Merinuks, it's cool because we record with with Warren, who's my best friend. I know him forever, and it's just totally chill. And we got to know Darren Merinuck, the artist, and he does art for us, and just it's just everything's just loose and nice and cool. So I like when that happens. What do I dislike the most? Yeah, I guess just being stagnant and feeling the need to having to spend money to buy our success. We gotta go to the best studio, or we gotta go to buy the best this, buy the best that. Apply to play this music festival, and yeah, I guess so. When things are more feeling forced, that's what I dislike. I think there's a lot to be said if you just believe in your kind of band and just do whatever. We're at an age now where nothing's gonna happen. We're lucky to we're so lucky to play with bands like Night Chill and Mike Troublecock's band, Pet Cemetery, or sorry, Cemetery Spawn, and we Get Off the Cop. If I could play those bands rest of my life, I'd be pretty happy. To me, that's success. Just playing with awesome people. My favorite food, I mean, cliche, but gotta go with pizza. It's just really, especially when we're talking music here, really kind of just, it just collects everything that I'm talking about. So Saturday night, recording with Warren, it's pizza night. Anthony brings over the dough. It's just tradition. We make pizza. I love pizza. I eat pizza before band practice in Toronto. It's cheap. It's easy. I don't know. I just remember being in the States, being on tour, going to Cece's Pizza. I remember Kyle showed me that place. It's all you can eat pizza. It's disgusting, but I just remember having so much fun there. I think it was also Cece's, the place where if you show up there right as they're closing, they'll give you all the pizza that no one else say. You're oh my gosh! So it is a band that's pizza unites us all with the music stuff, and you can get vegan, veggie, meat, whatever you want. Yeah, I played a pizzeria once in Chicago. I mean, pizza is just a perpetual symbol of being in a band. So I gotta go with pizza. Useless talent. Apparently, I can wing stuff pretty good, according to Steve here. So thanks, Steve. I feel pretty good about myself right about now. I'm okay on eBay. I can win stuff sometimes. And I'm just good at making noise, I guess. There's this thing my dad taught me where I think he got from the old country. He gets a leaf from a tree, and he puts it on the top of his palm, so kind of paper. But it's he'll find you gotta find a leaf just the right size, cover space between your index and your thumb, and then you cup this hand, but it's got to be cupped a proper way. So then you strike, if it was spring, I would grab a leaf, and then you do this pop, and then it makes this really loud popping sound, and you can hear it in the whole street, and it's really annoying, and it's fun. That's my useless talent.